Hi, I'm Heidi.
And I'm Kristen, and welcome to
A Day in the Life.
Seeing the world through the eyes of a young single adult.
You know, Kristen, it doesn't matter who we are or where we come from. We are all bound together solely for the fact that we are all LDS.
That's right, Heidi, and that's what our show is all about. Things that matter to us because we rock and our show rocks. From coast to coast in America, we come from different cultures and different backgrounds. But what's funny is that we realize we may not be as different as we all thought. I interviewed several young adults from all over America, asking them about their experience growing up Mormon.
I'm Tracy Yamamoto, and I grew up in Honolulu, Hawaii.
I'm Sarah Kim, and I grew up in Los Angeles, California.
My name is Amanda Lewis, and I grew up in Swansea, South Carolina.
My name is Alexa Magnuson, and I grew up in Salem, Oregon.
My name is Steve McLean. I grew up in Houston, Texas.
My name is Brian M. Krofchek. I grew up in Buffalo, New York.
My name is Emmanuel McMillan, and I'm from Newark, New Jersey.
My name is Katie Montgomery, and I'm from Boise, Idaho.
My name is Katie Darley. My name is Madison Hall, and I'm from Ozark, and I'm from Dothan, Alabama.
I had friends that I would actually hang out with, and I would choose them carefully, like making sure they don't drink or they don't smoke on their free time.
There's a lot of diverse people, diverse religions and everything.
I'm the only member in my family, and so obviously that meant I was the only member in my household. And so it's like an extra challenge, I guess.
People have a really different view of LDS people, so you get a lot of the crazy rumors.
A good portion of my community was LDS, and so everyone was really good friends.
In Alabama, you don't have a lot of Mormons, so you really get to share the gospel, which is very cool.
I had to be the strong person in my family.
It was hard to grow up LDS in Hawaii just because it's really hot all the time, and so modesty is a really big thing.
In my high school, there was only one. In my town, there was only one.
By my last 2 years in high school, I was the only Latter-day Saint member of the church.
There was about 5 of us, I think.
I think 40 were members.
Maybe 30.
There was only 2 LDS members.
I had 8 students.
There were actually 3.
Probably 40 to 50%. 50% might be a little high.
There were only about 3.
I had early morning seminary.
I didn't go that much, honestly.
I did have early morning seminary, and it was crazy hard to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
We had early morning seminary that was about 5:30 in the morning.
It was early morning. We started at 6.
My first 2 years, we actually met after Sunday, right after church, the 3 hours, then we had another hour of seminary.
Seminary was release time.
I did early morning, which was kind of a long drag because I had to rush after. Sometimes I had to catch the bus from seminary to school.
We had to get up what? Seminary was 5:30, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Early.
One thing was modesty, because LA is really hot and a lot of people wear shorts and miniskirts.
The challenge of always being tempted by friends that you hold near and dear. You'll take a bullet for these guys. You'll care for them. You love them. They're your best friends. And for them to say, hey, why don't you do something? On one hand, it was the perfect example of the angel on one shoulder, Satan on the other. And it was, what do I choose?
Definitely making right choices with so much opposition around, because I had a ton of friends that weren't members of the church, and they did things that were against the standards.
For me to have to stand up for what I believe in was a big challenge, and I was a lot of times the odd man out of everything.
We had teachers that were preachers, and they would it was like they automatically knew that we were Mormon whenever we walked in the door, and they were watching us all the time.
Because they were questioning my religion, I started questioning it too, and through that I was able to find out for myself that it was the truth.
Staying pure and building my testimony.
Being LDS in Boise lets you know that the church is really a good network.
I felt stronger. I felt like I could share my testimony and build on it.
You learn perseverance. You learn obedience and to not give up.
It taught me to have my own testimony, and that a testimony is personal, and it's something that you can't piggyback off of other people. It's something that you have to have for yourself.
I had a lot of great examples, so I feel like the way that I behave is how I believe, not because of what someone tells me to do. So I feel like it really changed my whole view on that.
No.
No, I wouldn't.
I loved it in Alabama. It was great. Like everybody, the Southern hospitality is really there.
I always have thought about that, and I've actually really wanted to grow up, or really wanted to be in a community where I wasn't so surrounded by LDS people, because I don't know, I just feel like it's a little bit different atmosphere.
For me, I would not change anything about where I grew up. I would absolutely go back and change some choices I made, yes. I think everyone can safely say that.
No, I'm glad I grew up there. It helped me to be a stronger person, and it helped to strengthen my testimony.
No, I love Texas. I love growing up there, so I probably wouldn't want to grow up anywhere else, but I guess everyone's like that.
I wouldn't, not one bit. I wouldn't change where I grew up. I love it.
Wow, being the only person in your family to be a member, that must have been so hard.
I agree. You know, I feel like in talking with Amanda, what's her name? She just hearing her story growing up by herself. That a lot of those stories are just really interesting to hear. So
yeah. Well, you know what's also really interesting, Kristen, because I too went around and I interviewed people. However, they weren't from the United States, but from all over the world. It's not just a difference in location, but also some changes and adjustments they had to make when coming to the United States.
Cultures are different all over the world, whether you're from North America, South America, India, or Asia. And one thing that's great is that when we come together, we can share those differences with each other. America is known as a melting pot, and these single adults that came from different hemispheres shared some of the differences they noticed upon arriving to the United States.
My name is Roman Daknov. I'm from Russia, southern part. Well, first time when I came from Russia to the United States, I actually was surprised that I don't see big buildings, because people live in houses, and in Russia most people live in apartments, and it was first big difference for me.
I'm Adam Buka. I'm from Montreal, Canada, but my parents are from West Africa, a small country called Togo. Where I'm from Montreal, Canada. There's kind of a sense of patriotism, but it's not a sense that you're gonna go fight against other countries. It's a sense that we share our same language, which is French. I'm mainly French speaking. So it's mainly the main difference I've noticed since then.
My name is Melissa Sirais, and I'm from Guatemala. Well, one of the huge differences that I noticed when I just moved was the way people greet each other. I was used to just be really friendly with whoever was on the streets or in school. But that's the culture that I grew up. But when I moved here and I went to high school, I would say hi in the hallways, and people would look at me like, oh, who is this weirdo?
I think Brazilians are like warm, like they're warm people, like they're gonna welcome you wherever you are.
My name is Alex, and I'm from Mexico. Well, I think the biggest one is language barrier, because you cannot express yourself, you know, the same way you do in Spanish, in my case, because I'm from Mexico, you know, and so language is the biggest one, and after that, for me, was food. It was a big change for me, too.
Food's different. Like, we eat a lot of meat. Like, we call it churrasco. It's like barbecue, but it's not like with hamburgers like Americans do here. It's just with like all kinds of meat. And we eat a lot of rice and beans.
And the food was a huge difference too, because back home we used to, every meal was just homemade meal.
You know, I feel like that would be such a challenge. I don't know, for me, I think that would be such a challenge to come from another country to the United States, because our culture is so much different from anywhere else, so yeah.
It is, you know, I did it too. And you know, they also told me more about their experiences, and I'll have more on that story later in the show.
Keeping entertained seems to be a necessity in our daily lives, but let's get real. We're more broke than Owen Wilson's nose.
Coming up on iNews, BYU Idaho actually has a news station.
Really? Shawty! Oh yeah! Get your cameras ready, it's about to go down! Everybody in the place, quiet on the set. But be ready for your cues. We filming this, let's go. I'm on the news. I'm on the news. Everybody watching me, cause I'm talking about the news. I'm on the news. I'm on the
Welcome back. As young adults, we're always looking for exciting and innovative activities. Our reporters Randy and Robert show us some fun ways to fill your free time without emptying your wallets.
If there's one thing all college students have in common, it's that 1, we're always looking for something to do, and 2, we don't have a whole lot of money to do it with. Fortunately for all of us, there are many activities that cost little to no money at all, just a little imagination.
Ninja destruction.
One little known game that seems to be growing on the underground is Ninja Destruction. This is a game to be played with 3 or more players and the perfect opportunity to show off your kung fu skills. The object of the game is to tag another player's hand to remove them from the game. The last person in the game wins. The catch, however, is that all players must stand in a circle and freeze in whatever position they're in. During each turn, a player can only make one swift movement and then freeze in that position. If it's your turn, then you're attacking another player. If not, then you're defending by making one swift movement to get out of the way. What sounds complicated is really fairly simple and easy to learn. You'll be addicted after only one game. Do you love golf but can't afford the swank fees of a course membership? Well, then perhaps disc golf, or frisbee golf, is the cure for your money woes. The relaxed style and rules of golf collide with the precision of tossing around a frisbee in a game that's fun for anyone to play.
It's easy. All you really need to play is a disc golf disc. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit sturdier than a normal frisbee. You can pick them up at any sporting good location for about $10, $15. But after that, the cost of disc golf is free. It costs nothing to come to a course. You just need these standards.
It's so easy, even this guy can do it. The sport provides great aerobic exercise. It can be played in groups or alone, and a round can take less than an hour, avoiding the need to schedule tee times. But if you're anything like me, you're gonna want to write your name and your number on your disc, because chances are you're gonna lose it in the bushes and not be able to find it. I can't tell you how many discs I've lost because of that.
There are various locations nationwide designated as frisbee golf courses with specific holes and hazards, but you can turn any park or yard into a course. Board games and card games are an easy way to pass the time. Sadly, we've all been playing these same games since we were kids, and more than likely a lot of these games have lost their excitement. However, an indie game company called Asmati Games has created a widely different and unique game, the likes of which nobody has ever seen. That game is called We Didn't Play Test This at All. There honestly isn't much to describe to the game other than that the object is to win. Win how? It's all in the cards. Every card has a unique set of instructions on them that can cause you to either immediately win or lose the game, among many other crazy objectives. The rules of the game are simple as well. Each player is handed 2 cards, and each round you draw another one. Each round you play a card, and you repeat until somebody wins.
If more players choose death, you win.
Spite. It may sound pretty contrite, but with a little imagination, this game causes great entertainment as well as frustrations, and the games last on average from only 5 seconds to 2 minutes. Once again, venturing into the outdoors, we have giant kites. What may be the most expensive thing on our list might also be the most fun if managed properly. When you were a kid, it's almost guaranteed that at some point you played in the park with a kite, but those were tiny pieces of plastic that usually broke after 1 or 2 successful crashes into the pavement. These giant kites, however, are extremely sturdy and really strong. If you aren't careful or on a windy enough day, the kite just might be the person driving instead and carry you away. These behemoth kites come in various different sizes, ranging from big to ridiculously big. No matter what size you get, however, the fun is just a gust of wind away.
We're here in the St. Anthony sand dunes. As you can see, it's sand everywhere. It's extremely windy and it's really sandy, but there's a lot of things you can be doing out here.
This one might be a little more particular to natives of southern Idaho, but all across the country are places like the St. Anthony sand dunes. Once out there, it might just be an unending desert to some, but it's also an unending place for the imagination to be creative. One can build bonfires, play games of capture the flag, or even just drive around in four-wheelers. If one is so daring, they can even just jump around off dunes. What do you like doing at the sand dunes?
Jumping off stuff.
Jumping off stuff, is that a lot of fun?
Yes, it is.
So as you can see, this place may be a little particular to Rexburg and in Idaho in general, but there's lots of stuff you could be doing here. There's four-wheelers, there's lots of sand, and hey, if you want, you can just take a dive. So as you can see, with a little bit of imagination, you can do anything for not a whole lot of money.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I might try that frisbee golf.
I know. You know, I'm going to have to call that Randy guy. He even left his number there for me. So I'm going to have to text him and see where I can find myself a frisbee golf place to play. College life can be pretty tough. When we return, we'll tell you some of the how-tos of getting through college.
Stay with us. A Day in the Life will be right back. We're going to play a team.
Turn over this log. Yeah. Whoa! I like the big black ones. I like the brown wiggly ones.
I like the green crunchy ones myself.
Whoa.
Get out and explore nature. There's surprises everywhere. Go to discovertheforest.org. Anyone up for dessert?
Aquí estoy.
Papi.
Hola, mija.
¡Toma! ¡Quesadillas! Juanito! Nunca me pones atención. Mira la casa es un desorden.
Mi Panchita, sabes que te amo. Nomás estoy cansado y quiero mirar la tele un poco.
Estoy cansada de tus mentiras.
¡Hey, Panchita! Tranquilízate, siéntate aquí. Vamos a ver años en español. Y todo va a salir bien, ¿eh?
Te quiero mucho.
Igualmente, nena.
Welcome back to A Day in the Life. Sometimes college can be pretty tough, from shopping for groceries to getting along with roommates, not to mention studying for classes.
And the faculty crushes. Just kidding. But seriously, it has a tendency to be a bit overwhelming.
But no reason to worry. Our reporter Ariane gives us advice on how to conquer the campus craze. Can we have a little bit?
Did you know that roughly 50% of all college students who start college never actually go on to finish? That's because getting used to or just getting through college is a tough experience. Many students move away from home for the very first time and have to do many new things all on their own. Stress from school, learning to cook and grocery shop, and trying to keep up with classes can devastate anybody. But just because that's true does not mean that you need to worry. I'm here to give you tips on how to get through college so that you will be one of those who does graduate. First, you should start by envisioning yourself as a college graduate. Promise yourself that you will graduate and just make sure you work towards your goal. The next thing to do is prioritize everything in your life. Make sure that you develop a solid work ethic and know what needs to be done first. Also, don't be afraid to spend more than a few late nights studying. Another way that will greatly increase your chances of graduating is to create and stick to a schedule. This goes hand in hand with prioritizing. If you know what all of your responsibilities are ahead of time, you'll be sure to do them. Now, these are just tips to help you academically. There's so much more to it than that. There's figuring out what to study, extracurricular activities, friendship, dating, roommates, and more. Here are some college students that have real-world advice based on the challenges that they had first coming to college.
My biggest challenge in college has been deciding exactly what I want to do. It was very difficult for me to pick exactly what I wanted to do, what major I wanted to get into, what I wanted to study, and eventually what career I wanted to achieve in life.
One of my biggest challenges was getting used to the scene and just figuring out what I want to do and like what classes to take, and I just really don't know what to do, so just going to the counseling center and stuff.
One of the biggest challenges for me coming to school would be juggling work and schoolwork and just managing my time.
I guess I didn't know. I signed up for a major. No one explained to me that you should probably take your generals first before you do your major. So that was hard because I did that for a long time, like one major, and then later I was like, why am I doing this? And I switched. So it put me behind.
Fortunately, they've learned from their challenges, and they offer advice to those who are just starting college or those who are well into their education.
When you're coming to college, you might want to do a lot of different things, try a lot of new things, so that you can get a taste for a little bit of everything so that you can know exactly what you want to do. Otherwise, don't funnel yourself into one career because you might enjoy doing something else rather than what you think you should be doing.
Just to be very outgoing and try to get to meet new people and just be friendly and try not to stay home and just get out there and do stuff.
I guess learn how to multitask because that was the hard part for me, and when you have free time to do your homework, because sometimes I would not do that, and so then it made things more difficult later on.
I guess to not pick a major, just do generals, because that was the biggest thing, and to just have fun, the first couple semesters, whatever, don't stress too much.
I've learned that you can't just get by and you have to study a lot more than I thought you had to, and just at the library a lot, and that's basically it.
Try a little everything, honestly.
So no matter where you are in your college progression, these are tips that can help you reach that final goal, graduation. This has been Ariane. Good luck, and remember to study.
You know, one thing that was really, I guess, hard for me when I came to college was in high school. You go to college. You go to high school, and you're there all day long. You have class after class after class, right. And then when you're in college, you get to pick your classes whenever you have them, and you don't have to go to class. So you have that freedom to do whatever you want whenever you want to.
Exactly, and I think that was one of the struggles for me specifically, because I was like, oh, I don't have to go to class. There's no reason to go. But
Exactly.
then I started to realize, I need to take that responsibility, and that's where you start to grow and you start to learn to become that responsible individual.
And once you pick your major, you actually pick something you want to do.
Right.
So you don't want to miss class anymore because you're constantly always learning.
Exactly, and it's no longer hard. It's just, no matter how high the workload is, you're having a good time because it's what you want to do.
Exactly.
Or also, Heidi, we haven't finished with your story about your international friends.
That's right, Kristen. Well, we'll have the rest of that story when we come back. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
that new anchor girl, since she joined iNews, I want to join iNews.
I wish she was my friend. I hear she has her own entourage.
I watch her show like every week. This one time, I saw her wearing some hoops, so I got myself some hoops.
Welcome back to A Day in the Life. So Heidi, in your story, you talked about the move to the U.S. each individual made, and what kind of impact it had on them. But what about the religious aspect? Were there any differences there?
That's a great question, Kristen. I did ask questions about the experiences that they had attending church in the United States, and there were surprisingly a variety of different responses. Let's have a look.
Where I'm from, there's very few amount of members, so it's type of a culture of it's really hard to be a member of the church, but because it's hard to convert people, people have really strong testimonies, and we really follow all the commandments like the prophet said. We don't try to interpret things differently. We really strive, like we read our scriptures. We don't watch TV on Sundays, you know. But when I came here, like people take things as like if it was random, you know. Like, the way people live our religion back home, it's really a big way of life. It's really a part of themselves. And here people just live it because everybody's a member.
In Mexico, we really obey the Sabbath day differently. We don't watch TV. We don't listen to music. We don't even change our Sunday clothing. You know, that's a show of respect to our Heavenly Father. And something I noticed here is that they change right away after church, and they watch TV, games, and it's just like any other regular day.
In Russia, where I live, all members are converts. And here in the United States, most members, they were born in church.
The first Sunday I went to church, I actually felt like in home, because even though one of the differences was the language and I didn't understand that much, everything I knew what they were talking about, kind of, because it was the same pattern that they used to use in my old ward in Guatemala, even though it was a different language. I would say that the little bit that I noticed that would differ from Guatemala was, I just felt like people, even though they didn't know each other in Guatemala, they would always greet you and welcome you and give you a hug and all those things. But when I came here, it was kind of a cold side. I don't know.
Churches obviously are more, you know, are a lot better, in better conditions than the ones we have down south.
Members in the U.S. tend to be, I'm not going to say the members in Belgium are not dedicated to the church, but members in the U.S. tend to appear more dedicated.
I think church is the same everywhere.
The church is the same everywhere you go, and I could really feel the spirit even though I did not understand anything.
Kristen, I think that we have learned a lot today, and we've learned that the variety is the spice of life. We're different, we come from all different countries and backgrounds, but being LDS truly brings us together.
Yes, Heidi, and we also see that college students can get through the tough stuff, and we don't have to spend the big bucks to have a good time.
That's right, Kristen, we'll keep the money in the purse. That's it for this week's show, but join us next week when we talk about fashion.
Being attractive without being an attraction.
I'm Heidi.
And I'm Kristen, and this has been A Day in the Life.